And away we go. It is the Nightcap brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com, www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Go to the website. They will deliver right to your front door pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, or head down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell our good friends to pump it up, and they will save you 15% off of the Galactic goodness. It is out of this world. Hi, Aaron.
Yo.
It's been a while for this feature in terms of basketball because they don't really give you a lot of time for media availability in season. Right. But with a week off, had a chance to catch up with old Wes Miller today. So it is one of our old school favorite Retro Tuesday segments. Talk about talking. We get an occasional, like we introduce a football assistant or something like that. But head coach in season, talking about talking. Aaron, let's go.
So Wes started off by saying we are at the halfway point. So he said he knew coming in that the Big 12 was the best league in America. Saying it is one thing, living it is another.
Right? Completely different animals.
No surprise there. Followed that up by saying that John Newman is he didn't use this word. This is me paraphrasing, but basically John's an anomaly. While you don't see it often, it is still something that is a thing where somebody is sticking around for more than a year, 2 years. Or they're not just a rental player, if you will, for lack of a better term. But he's just he did comment on how neat it is being able to work with John and getting to take him from just kind of mold him as clay.
Still a transfer.
He is.
John Newman is still, I don't know. Keegan and I had a long discussion about this today, that he's still, he can't be an anomaly in the transfer era. He's a transfer.
Yes. He's also, this is what, year 4 though? So
3.
Well, is it 3?
He came in with Wes.
Okay.
This is only Wes's 3rd season. So yeah, he's in year 3. Which, look, you guys know, nobody loves John Newman as much as me. But I just think to talk about him as being an anomaly in the transfer portal era, he technically is a transfer, and he only would have been here 2 years if his knee was not cottage cheese. So, that's all I'm saying. Not that I disagree with Wes. John is phenomenal.
I have zero issue disagreeing with you, and so I'm just not going to here.
Here's what here's, I guess, the larger point. Like, this is the way the point could have been made better. Having a guy for 3 years in today's college basketball, even if he's a transfer, is a long time. Like, if you got a guy for 3 years, that's stability. And, that used to be the short-term guy, 2-3 years. 3 years, damn, that guy's been here how long?
Yeah.
So I will give credence to that. I just don't think the transfer portal thing. He transferred.
Coach also went on to say that you cannot simulate what Houston does in practice, as there are plenty of
Oklahoma State right now.
Oof, down 20?
There was a technical. Oh, Kelvin Sampson got ejected.
Let's go.
We were talking, so I don't know exactly what happened in the last 4 minutes over here, but I just looked over, and Kellen Sampson is now head coaching Houston.
This is
for sure.
This is happening here across the. This is now the second ejection in what,
3 days?
4 days?
Yeah, 3-4 days. I don't know what it was for, so I can't speak on it. But it's definitely, there is no Kelvin Sampson on the Houston bench at present.
Coach also said that the difference in games in these wins and losses is usually 1 or 2 possessions, and that this team has to make sure that they continue to try and get better in their controllables. Things like hustle plays, things like going for loose balls, rebounding, just things that they can control. You cannot control some things on the court. those are things that you can control, and those are the things that can be the difference in some of these 1 or 2 possession games.
By the way, Dave said Kelvin Sampson tossed with Houston up 20. Refs didn't call a blatant shove in the back, and Kelvin lost it.
Well, now he knows what it's like
Sounds
to
about
play.
right.
Now he knows what it's like to play Houston
Right.
in every game.
Great point.
Coach also said that Day-Day's defense is not a surprise. And I loved this. He said that you don't want to bring in a guy if you cannot envision him doing things. Thought that was a great line.
Yeah, that's a question I asked about when you're like recruiting a kid like Day-Day. You look at him and say he's got the opportunity, he's got the athleticism and the hands and the feet to be a really, really good defender. But has he been a little better than even you maybe projected to this point in season 1? And that's Wes is like, I mean, that's what we recruited his ass to do, basically. Like,
yep.
Yeah, he's been great, and it's good that he's getting recognition, but we brought him here to do this, and he's doing it. So
he went on to say, when again asked about Houston, said that just like players are always learning and improving, coaches do the same. And he wants Cincinnati to be spoken about nationally the same way that Kelvin Sampson and Houston are talked about.
Great defense. They play hard, and they're tough, and they rebound, and they do the things that equate to winning. So yeah.
We've talked about this on our shows, and it's cool to see this kind of emulated by Coach as well. But he did mention that Jamil is getting more consistent, specifically in the last 2 games. And that's when we started talking about his consistency and looking the part.
The consistency of his effort more than anything.
Yeah. Also said, of course, he was going to get asked about CJ Frederick. Said CJ will, whenever he is back, is going to have a positive impact, but they just aren't, obviously, with a hamstring injury, albeit not the same hamstring that has been injured in the past. It's just not something they're rushing him back for. So they want him back as soon as possible, but it's not anything that they're pressed on. But did say that whenever he comes back, they expect him to have a positive impact, but don't expect the best game of his career.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he doesn't have his legs under him. He hasn't played since the middle of December. So it's going to take a little while. But shooting generally translates. If you can get him out there and get him a couple kickouts, bang, bang, all of a sudden, you know, your spacing is different. Your offense looks different.
And the last question was on Vic. Said that Vic's trending up. He has to work through some things. But one thing we were not privy to prior to this conference was he won the Hustle and Effort Award after the staff and I assume the team together watched back the Texas Tech game. I thought that was an interesting note, though, that, I mean, we did see him diving
on the floor. Yeah.
Diving for some loose balls. Yeah. But just, I don't know that if it was me giving out that award, I necessarily would have given it to Vic. However, enough people on the team and staff agreed that was his award. So
remember, this is the important part, Aaron. It was not given out after the game.
It was given out when they went back and watched the tape.
Right. So I guarantee you, if you were privy to that, like your view after, like not just watching it a second time, but like watching like a coach's tape, like actually seeing
the camera angles,
everything. Yeah. A lot of times you will be like, damn, I thought that guy played like garbage, and he did a ton of things that were positive.
We talk often about Vic and his playing emotionally. And I did not, while he had every reason in the world to be frustrated with his own play, this game, even the last game, he didn't seem to be wearing it as much as he normally does. And I think that was something that I noticed.
I think
normally you see him just throwing up his hands, wandering after the ref, like just upset about everything. He just didn't seem to be outwardly as emotional.
I think Slazinski at West Virginia got into his head a little bit.
I agree. I mean more specifically against Texas Tech.
You said the last two games.
Right.
Texas Tech, yeah, he didn't look as razzled as he did. West Virginia, they were in his head. He was in his head.
Would much rather he was in his bag.
Zombie.
But that's all I have for talking about Talkin.
Okay.
That said, there were some other things going on around the league today. Well, around the country, I guess, nationally. The first thing I wanted to get to was a new channel. I guess
Well,
a new streaming service.
Service, yeah,
is going to be apparently launched here before the end of the year, I guess. It's ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers combining their sports rights to launch a new sports streaming service per the Wall Street Journal. The service will be available to all ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Max subscribers, and each company will own 1/3 of the product. And that comes courtesy of Joe Pompliano. I believe it's going to host everything, if I'm not mistaken, from NFL, MLB, NHL, tennis, NASCAR, pretty much college sports, pretty much any sport.
Most everything. Yeah.
This
basically, if you have, okay.
Go ahead. Wow. Basically, if you have,
if you have a cable channel or a service that streams sports, you're going to be able to get it in one spot, pay one price for all of those the option to stream all of those channels. So, like, I have asked for a long time, I think on cable, you should be able to, I just want the sports packages. I don't want the other 80 fucking channels. I want sports. And you can't do that. They're like, well, you can have, there's 8 sports channels on this tier, and then there's 12 sports channels on this tier, and all of a sudden, it's $200. You've got 384 channels, and you watch 6 of them. If I can pay $20, $25 a month, and I have all those channels in one place, great.
I'm a little concerned, and I say this,
of course,
as this comes roughly a week since the Big Ten and the SEC announced another partnership. We'll see how this one goes, where they're getting their brain trusts together to work on the
fix college sports.
On the future, well, they're fixed all right. The future of those two conferences.
No, what was future of the NCAA?
Okay.
No, Aaron. The NCAA came to them and said, "What are your ideas to fix college sports?" And you're right in what's ultimately going to happen. Their idea is, let's do what's best for us. But I'm making sure it's understood. This is not them doing their own thing. This is the NCAA saying, here's the keys to the entire kingdom, and you guys do whatever the hell you want with it.
So I guess one of the things that concerns me about this specifically is the fact that here you have 2 arch enemies working together to combine forces in ESPN and Fox.
Yes. So they have both had major problems with streaming. It is costing Fox basically is just like, we're not even going to mess with it. ESPN's put hundreds of millions of dollars into it.
And it's still not a great.
It's okay.
Service.
It's an okay product. And Fox is just like, nah, we looked into it, and we're going to hold. We're going to stay right here. So that part is, I get where you're coming from there.
I just don't like that all of these things are starting to line up, where you're wondering at what point is there going to be a new Division I, and all of a sudden we're back relegated to Division II, and the only ones allowed at the party at Division I are the Big Ten and the SEC. That's what.
And then there's still Yeah, I get that to an extent, but I will say there's still enough market share in that next group of 30, 40 schools that there will be something that exists for them. That look, like the University of Minnesota and the University of Illinois, like they're not going away. They're not going away. It's not happening. It's too important. There's too much money on the line. They'll create something that includes that. Like they're not, and there's going to be a need for the revenue or for the inventory. So, like,
those
I
teams are
just
part of
don't.
the Big Ten. Of course, they're still going to be in. They
Well, guess what,
they have their
Aaron?
tickets punched.
Aaron, I'm gonna tell you right now. If it really shrinks down to 30 schools, Minnesota and Illinois and a couple of they're not going to be at the table. They're
I
not going to
don't.
be at the table.
Well, I'm going to be shocked if, in no way, shape, or form, Brett Yormark doesn't elbow his way to the table
Somehow. Oh yeah, he's certainly working on it.
and then just drop right on the table.
It's good for the consumer. I do normally I laugh at your crazy conspiracy ramblings.
This isn't a. I don't think this. It's just weird that
It's
all
not,
these things are lining up time wise.
well, they've all been going on behind the scenes forever.
Sure. I don't think this is me connecting dots that aren't there.
I think it's interesting that they are working together a little bit on a venture like this. Yes.
In any case, the other one that I wanted to get to that took a little steam today, Count Patino is in the news from his castle in Transylvania.
You know, I think we should do this tomorrow night because I think this is a long enough one that I think there's a night's worth of talk on this. I don't want to squeeze it into 2 minutes.
Well, if you're looking to want to catch up to what we're going to talk about, I guess we'll use this as a teaser, a cliffhanger, if you will. We don't usually do these on this show, but we'll be looking into some of the tweets from Count Patino.
Yes,
tomorrow.
Very good, very interesting. All right, we'll see you tomorrow night. That's going to wrap it up. That's the nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.